Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tree50 Fantasy Football Podcast, brought to you by Bungalow Joe's. We will have a special guest on our Bungalow Joe's Bunghole Hotline a little bit later on. And let me introduce, as always, myself, who sucks as a fantasy football manager. And my co-host, as always, is Chad Foster. Say hello, Lee.
Hello, how are you?
And our lovely producer, Trevor Renee Bells. And always our statistician, who keeps me straight more than anyone else, is Dustin Strange.
Hello.
And I'm not gonna lie, League, I'm a little bit down with reason to be. So, how are you? Maybe you can lighten up the mood just a little bit.
I'm actually doing pretty good. Yeah, it's a rough time for a Derek Robinson, isn't it? I mean, describe your feelings and what you're going through coming into this podcast today.
My feelings are borderline fantasy suicidal. My team is very, very terrible. I don't know why. I don't know what I've done for the Angels to just go ahead and take a big old hot poopy crap on my head.
I think you started riding your high horse. You expected a little too much. You put all your chips in, and it's starting to backfire on you a little bit.
Yeah, it backfired from hell. It's unbelievable.
It did. Before we get started, Derek, I would like to bring up a small topic just because I think it's hilarious.
I can't wait.
Apparently, the Florida State football team went through their walkthrough on the Waterfront Park today, which is public park. They were telling people not to take pictures and all that. But the funny part, that's not the funny part for me. The funny part is after the fact, they apparently went to eat, or at least walk past, Joe's Crab Shack. Now, that had to be intentional, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think there are any crabs missing from Joe's Crab Shack?
Joe's personal crab is missing, I heard.
I would think so. Sticky fingers.
Yeah, I heard that the crab was actually doing the Heisman pose when Jameis Winston walked by, and then Jameis Winston took him and ran with him.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That's the trend on Twitter. Dustin, don't go look that up. I was making that up. Don't go look it up, Dustin. I was just playing.
All right, well, let's get started, Derek. What do you want to hit on first?
Who gives a shit? My season's over. Let's go with Danny Mays since his season's over with me. Danny and Dustin.
Now, besides my game, this is the game I was most interested in because I really needed Dustin to lose this game. And Danny, as he's done all year, blows the friggin' game and loses 160 to 152. Danny's team is absolutely garbage. Shane Vereen got him 7 points. Jarius Wright, 3 points. He put up 152, but still managed to lose to Dustin, who's season high in points, 160 points. And Danny is almost mathematically out of it.
Yeah, almost. Here's the thing. He kind of had what you had last week, I think it was last week. But he had Brady put up 47, but Dustin had Gronk, and that's who Brady threw to a lot. So that was just counteracted to each other there, and then everyone else was just kind of pedestrian on Danny's team, and my brother had a couple good games outside of that. He finally got a good one out of Stafford, and then everyone else pedestrian for him. So that was, that was the point in which he took the lead and never looked back on that. So it was a big win for Dustin. Danny didn't care about his season either way, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, let's not spend too much time on this game because Danny's season is completely over. Where do you want to go to next?
Let's go to the other guy who doesn't really care about what happens for the rest of the season because he's pretty much in the playoffs with Justin and Sanye.
Oh, yeah, good game, Justin and Sanye. Sanye put up a lot of points this week, 161, but no match for Justin, and he's just pumping points out like a machine. Arian Foster, 3 touchdowns, 151 yards, 41 fantasy points. Jordy Nelson only got him 5 points in this game, and he still managed 175, and mainly because Brandon LaFell has been going nuts here lately. Ever since Brady's went away from Edelman because of Edelman's drops, it's like he's went to LaFell so much more, and LaFell's getting targeted like crazy. 31 fantasy points this week. He's crushing it. Sanjay, again, mathematically, pretty much out of it.
Yeah, LaFell is on the rise, okay, because he's been destroying. And it's Arian Foster is having, I don't know if it's his best season to date, but it's one of them, man. And he's staying healthy. I think maybe he got hurt in week 2, but when he's played, he's been pretty huge. It's been one of the shining points for Houston offensively, anyways. So, yeah, I mean, his team is legit. Same way as Sanjay, his team played well. It's just he came across the juggernaut in Justin, which is unfortunate because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that 161 outside of Trevor, and Amit and a few other people. So it doesn't matter. 161 was a really high score, but they wouldn't have beat a lot of people this week. It was a complete opposite of last week.
Yeah, it was a very high-scoring week, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but he had Roethlisberger on the bench, 62 fantasy points. No way he can start him, but still, that is absolutely insane, 62 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's berserko. But, I mean, you can't say if you have him for a dumb bench later on, which I do not. I mean, you can't say that because it's just who would have thought? I mean, 522 yards and 6 touchdowns. He went berserko. So
Yeah, to say the least. Where do you want to go to next?
Let's just we'll keep going up the ladder here. Let's just go to Meat and Stranger here.
Yeah, I thought Dustin actually had a pretty good week. Marshawn Lynch followed a 7-point game and an 8-point game with another 7-point game. And there's rumors of him getting pushed out of Seattle. I don't honestly know what's going on there, but something's going on because he is not performing. Jordan Cameron, 7 points. Sanu was back on the train with 21. And like I said, 132 points out of Dustin. Any other week probably would have got him the win. But this week, facing Amit, 198 points. Larry Fitzgerald, 34. Matt Forte. This guy is a full-time running back, full-time wide receiver. I hope he's making 2 salaries because he's basically playing 2 positions for that team. And he is, right now, by far, in my opinion, the best player on that team.
Oh, he is by far. And I actually heard that he's training to be the long snapper and punter. So,
well, hell, might as well be the quarterback, too. He's doing everything else.
Yeah, their quarterback blows. But, yeah, I mean, he scored 198 points with a big old fat goose egg from Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive, and he's probably going to make a late run at it for sure, and his team is doing a very good job at it. Now, for Dustin's team, the 132 points is not terrible. It's, I don't know what to say. He's just running across some bad luck facing some teams that are just throwing up points like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, there's not much he could have done in this case. I mean, even if Jordan Cameron has a 20-some-odd point game and Lynch has a 20-some-odd point game, he's still not winning this week. So it was just he ran into a recent buzzsaw in Mr. Amit.
Yep, indeed, and it puts him at 3-5, and it puts Amit up 4-4. So things are getting tight there for the playoff race.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So where do you want to go to next?
Let's go to you and Crevin.
All right, myself and Crevin. Now, we've been talking down on Crevin all year about him scoring low. And guess what? In a week that everybody's scoring high, he scores low. 87 points, 87 to 164. To be honest, I wasn't nervous going into this matchup. That might be kind of cocky to say, but Trent Richardson did what I thought he would do, a whole bunch of 0. Charles Clay, 1 point. Doug Martin, 4 points. He's terrible. I mean, if Danny was to describe this team, the whole segment would be nothing but... So I finally got a win that I was supposed to. Now I'm only 3-5. I'm not completely out of the hunt, but if I lose another game that I shouldn't, then I'm out.
You need a Doug Flutie, okay? Because not Doug Flutie on your team. You need a Hail Mary for the win, and that's nothing else. Nothing short of that, because you're going to need a lot of help. So.
What do I do with Michael Floyd? This guy, I swear to you, 1 week 14 points or 19 points, and the very next week 2 points, 0 points. I don't know what to do with the guy. If I don't start him, he's going to get 20 points. But if I put him in, he gets 0. I don't know what to do.
Well, I don't know. Put in someone who's more consistent. I would rather get a consistent 9-point than than when he's hit and miss like that. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you what to do on that one. You shouldn't listen to me anyways. I don't know if you paid attention to my past 2 weeks, but.
They haven't been the best past 2 weeks for you, Derek. I'll admit that.
They have not. It's sad whenever we look at Crevin scored 87 and he's higher than me.
Yep, that's a very good point. Well, let's go ahead and move on. We'll move on to Kyle's matchup against Mr. Ryan Cornell. And Kyle won this 138 to 122, pushing both their teams to 4-4. And Kyle has really made a push. He started this season, Derek, 0-3, and actually started the season 1-4. Since then, he's on a 3-game winning streak, and he's putting up some points. Now, 138 this week, while it's a lot of points for this week, wasn't that many, but it was enough to get him the win. Just because Ryan's team's it's been struggling lately. I mean, Julian Edelman, I think he's honestly in the doghouse. And if there's ever a doghouse you don't want to be in, it's Bill Belichick's doghouse.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's the last guy I'd want to be remotely in a house with, let alone in the doghouse. But, yeah, Kyle's team is trending upwards, and for my brother, that means in a good way.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you've lost your last 3 games.
Yeah, my team's definitely trending upwards, and I lost my last 3, but they're trending upwards.
Right.
But for Kyle, I mean, they're trending upwards. He is a game behind me now in the division, and I am a little bit worried for more reasons than one. If my team was still performing, I really wouldn't be that worried, but they're not performing. And there's a big win over Ryan. That puts Ryan in a tight spot now. He's 4-4. Kyle's 4-4. There's about, 5 teams at least battling to get in.
Very tight race there in the middle. And if there's a couple bright spots to look at as far as Ryan goes, he should get A.J. Green back this week. Now, how healthy? Probably about 80% or so. And also Allen Robinson, who he picked up off the waiver wire. Allen Robinson's having a great season. He's put up a lot of points here in Jacksonville. I think a lot of people overlook him. This week he had 5 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown, 20 fantasy points. I mean, that's good production to get off the wire.
Yeah, so he gets Josh Gordon back, I think, next week. And in week 10, I believe, is when he's proposed to come back. So if he does, it's going to have a really good team, and he's looking forward to making that playoff push. But we'll see how it goes there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kyle's team, like you said, they've been on a run here lately, and Sammy Watkins has been part of that big run. But honestly, Sammy Watkins is just supplanting what Brandon Marshall should be doing. Brandon Marshall got 6 points, and he's not been performing this year. But Sammy Watkins is doing what he's supposed to do, 29 fantasy points, and he's probably the leader for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
He's definitely up there. This is a very good rookie receiving class. And he's right there at the top as far as the leading rookies for receivers. So this may be one that we look back on 10 years from now and say this is a really good class. So we'll see how it goes and how it plays out. Do you want to move on to Trevor's game?
Trevor Bales versus poor Derek Robinson. Now, Derek, I told you last week that you would probably want to triple your points if you wanted a chance to beat him. And if you tripled your points from last week, you would have had 210, and see, you would have beat him. But alas, 192 to 77, and you made a dumb bet. At the beginning of the podcast last week, you said, Trevor is going to smoke me. And then towards the middle of the podcast, you're like, hey, Trevor, I'm going to bet you I beat you. I'm like, Derek, so what happened from the beginning to the middle of the podcast that made you think you're going from getting smoked to you're going to win? So not a good bet on your part. And us, as far as the fellow Tree50ville, we're reaping the benefits getting to read your new names that Trevor's posting every week.
Yeah.
Every day, excuse me.
My team is not playing well at all. Like, none of them aren't playing well. What happened was I was boosting my own ego. Just, if you think positive thoughts, positive things will happen. Except I think I did it in the wrong light, to where I was being egotistical about it and talking too much trash. So it burned me pretty bad. So I'm trying not to talk too much trash this week. I want to see how it goes. Maybe it'll flip around, and if that's the case, then I won't talk for the rest of the year as far as talking trash goes. But it wasn't good at all. The only bright spot on my team is D-Jack. He had 21 points. That's not good, to say the least. So
yeah, I mean, your team was pretty poor, and why you benched Phillip Rivers when you've been touting him as the MVP all year for Russell Wilson? I understand maybe starting Russell Wilson at times, but this wasn't a good spot. I mean, Phillip Rivers has been killing it. Now, another thing, Derek. Now, I'm not trying to wish bad upon you, but I find it funny that you're in this little funk right now. And I know last week I had sang a song for you, Let It Go, and that was the letter that we had gotten from the fan and everything. Well, this week I'm like, I want to keep this going. I want to do what I did to try to keep this karma going. It's like, since I've not shown up on Thursday nights, I've won my fantasy football games. since I sang you a song, you've lost. So I asked my daughter, I'm like, well, what song can I sing him this week? So she handed me a song sheet that she had from class. And I'd like to take the time to sing you a little tune. Now, I've adjusted the words just a tiny bit, and there's no music to this, so Trevor, you're good. I'm just going to acapella it. And by the way, I let my kids listen to my Let It Go song, and they said I was officially the worst singer ever in history. So please, please don't expect much out of me. But here goes nothing. Swing low, sweet guillotine. Put Derek's team out of their misery. Swing low, sweet guillotine. Put Derek's team out of their misery. I looked at your team, and what did I see? They really sucked. And now you're facing your third straight loss. Derek, you are truly fucked. Swing low, sweet guillotine. Put Derek's team out of their misery. Swing low, sweet guillotine. D-Rob will be hosting next week.
That brought a tear to my eye, man. That was so good.
You need to do something for your team, Derek. You need to give them a motivational speech or something. You
know,
need to do something for them guys.
Let me hold you there because I don't want to keep my guests waiting any longer. I brought someone in just for my team.
Okay.
To give them a little pick-me-up, something to, get one for the skipper type speech. Do it for the skipper, whatever the hell they say. I'm going to bring him in. You all probably know him. He's on TV a lot for college game day and for college football, and he's a former head coach of the Notre Dame Irish. It's Lou Holtz. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in here. Give me just one moment. So hey, how's it going here, guys? This is Lou Holtz from Notre Dame football. All right, so I just want to come in here and give you a little motivational speech. Okay, so just sit back and relax and just listen to the words that I saying that's coming out of my mouth here, and just literally take them to heart. I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this out of love for Derek and his team here. So just sit back and relax just a little bit. In the football game, we want to keep our poise. Poise is just having confidence in yourself, what you're doing. We're not going to mouth off, push, or shove ever at the big Labrewskis. We're going to wait until the ball is snapped. We're going to put a helmet on somebody. We're going to be the most physical football team in the country until the whistle blows. We want to win for one thing, and it's the first thing we ever had. We said we were going to bring respect. Don't talk about it. There is only one way to get respect, and that's by looking someone in the eye for 60 minutes. Going out there, hitch up your trousers, and say, hey, baby, here I am now. Let me see you run through me now. Let me see you show you some respect for me when I'm nose to your nose. Let me see what you think of me, that my face is to you. We talk about respect. We talk about respect around the country. It's a game of who's going to flinch first. It's going to give up first. We know that this is going to be the big Labrewskis. Big Labrewski football is nothing more than toughness, togetherness, intensity, intelligence, and competitiveness. Although the big Labrewski fight song, the finest song in the world, man, there's nothing like it. It's world famous, the most popular love song in the country. Do you ever listen to the words? It starts off and says, rally your sons of big Labrewskis. All the fight songs talk about overcoming odds. Through odds being great or small, old big Labrewski will win overall. It talks about competing. It talks about bouncing back from adversity. And that's what the big Labrewskis is, and it talks about love and loyalty for this ball club. That's what makes this a great song. It's got great rhythm, but it's the loyalty, the love of the big Labrewskis. It's overcoming the odds of everything in this country faces odds. Nobody has ever faced bigger odds than this football team's faced over the past week when we met. That's what Big Labrewskis is all about. Love of this team. I love you. I hope you love one another. I love this team. I hope you do also, and I know you do. For the next 5 weeks, I want one thought one mind, one body, and one spirit. Who's your friend? He is. Let's go, baby. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I was on the radio with Dustin Robinson, manager of Dinner Dates Dustin. Dustin said, I'm not worried about the big Ladruskis. He says, they aren't tough, they aren't physical, they won't score a lot of points on you. And I quote you, man, I've never lied to you. I've never misled you. I've marked that thing down. They also said the big Ladruskis don't think football is important and they can't win because their guys aren't tough enough and they aren't dedicated enough. And you saw what they saw. So what do you think? Now go out there and show them that you're good because you want to be. Thank you,
Wow.
Coach. Thank you, Coach Holtz. That's if that doesn't get them going, if that does not get them going, there's nothing that will get them going.
I gotta admit, that may sway my pick. I was confused there for a minute. I didn't know if it was Lou Holtz or Daffy Duck, but that was great. Thank you, Lou.
Yeah, he says you're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, thanks, Coach. Thanks. So
that was amazing. What next after that?
It's let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. I mean, we have tons of them today. This is going to be an epic podcast.
It is absolutely going to be an epic podcast.
Let's go to our Bungalow Joe's Bunghole Hotline. Let's see who we got on there. If you want to bring them on in, Chad.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you, hailing from Beulah Church Road, because Lord knows he never leaves home. He is a former league champion who followed that season up by being the worst team the following season. This man has nipples that are as long as his penis, and when cold can cut glass. With a grill, he is functional, but he is never punctual. If you tell him to be there at 8, you're lucky if he arrives at 9. This man walks it out like he's drying off with a towel, and off gives Danny a scowl. Nope, 2. When he gets bored, he enjoys burning things and playing with blinds. When Justin asks, let's have keepers, why can't we? He replies, because I'm the BBC. We hold the record of 4-4, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Bearskin Frog Stansberry.
Hey, I applaud you, Chad. I applaud you. That was awesome. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Welcome to the podcast, BBC. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, man.
Can I stop you guys for 1 second? I got something I have to say. Is that cool if I interject?
Sure.
So I know I'm probably, since we have probably, one of the most sensitive and butthurt yet asshole-less, complete assholes to each other group.
Yes.
It's probably going to make some butthurtness happen and a little sensitivity, but I feel like, in lieu of everything, and, I've listened to a past few of the podcasts, and there's not a lot of hate in my way, rightfully so, me starting out the year 0-3, but let me just get right into it. To all the haters that thought I wouldn't win, I came in and put it on your chin. I hope one day you will understand that you can't count out this leader of the band. I know I was down, but boy, I'm never out. At 0-3, I admit I wanted to pout. Please sit on and back and enjoy the ride, for the BBC has a bit of change in the tide. First off, Danny, thinking you won't end up first to worst, but you should have grabbed your laptop and looked up Champion Curse. Next victim laid down was everyone's favored champ. Dinner Date Dustin may have to do a lineup revamp. I feel so bad for your quiet producer and sound guy, because I made your power rankings go bye-bye. To this point, I have a credo, living my life with no regrets. I think Ryan may have had 2 this week picking up Crowell and Cadet. Let's keep this train rolling, hoping to get a win against famous Sonya, who's better at weed, gambling, and sin. 2 more games and I'm back against my division. Look out, Derek, Chris, and Dustin, because I'm on a mission. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Wow. This is quite possibly the best first half of a podcast ever.
Poetry in motion. Oh, Sanjay, poor Sanjay. He is not going to be happy with you. He only does it on Saturdays, Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. He doesn't do it that much anymore. I want you to know that.
Listen, guys. Okay, listen. I only do it on Saturdays. It's all day Saturday. Okay, I will see that.
Oh shoot! Good stuff.
So what's going on, Kyle? Here, man. We're glad that you joined us, and being you're the commissioner. we do want to kind of do a little Q&A here with you, kind of get your thoughts about a few things about the league and so forth. So it's actually going to be me, Dustin Strange, and Chad. They're going to ask you 5 questions each, and we'll go one after the other.
And before we get started, Derek, I just want to let Kyle know, to preface this just a little bit, you've been our most anticipated guest, and I didn't want to have you on because you hadn't listened to our podcast, so you really wouldn't know the ebb and the flow of it. But you listen now, and you know kind of how it goes. But everybody wanted you on because they wanted your opinion on things that involve the league and that go on in your mind in reference to what's going on in the league. So I want you to know that a lot of these questions are directed at you, and people want answers as to, well, what's the BBC think about this or that or the other? So I just wanted to preface before we get started.
And before you get started, actually, I have been listening, and I have been getting a lot of flack, especially, I heard a lot of things from Justin King when he was guest. He was talking a lot of shit about how I'm not open-minded to different things, and some of the stuff that was talked about, I even suggested, so, by all means, shoot it my way.
Well, all right, yeah, we'll go from there. Dustin Strange, you can unmute yourself here now, brother, if you want, and you can actually start with the first question, and Kyle, you can just elaborate on these. These aren't like rapid fire. We're not going to cut you off or anything. Just answer them as you see fit.
All right.
Question 1. Mr. BBC, would you ever consider sharing the title of commish and having a co-commissioner?
No.6.
Oh.
Thank you for elaborating, Dick.
Danny Jr. here. Okay.
How about this? I'll go. Please elaborate a little bit more. But have you ever thought about, or has there been talks about expanding the league to 24 teams? Have 2 divisions, 2 different drafts, or stuff like that, and then combining them with the 2 there at the very end. And do you have any thoughts on that, or do you need any plans?
No.6. Okay, I'll stop. All right, guys. So my thing was I was just going to answer every question with No.2 here, just for, flair, but you guys don't seem to like it too much. So to answer your first question, I created this league, and I did it for us, so we actually had a home to play some fantasy football. If someone wants to take over as commish, by all means, you can have it. We can have 12 commissioners for all I care.
I think we do.
To answer your second question, that was actually my idea. That's something that I wanted to do, but separate from our league. I think Justin had mentioned something, and you guys even had said it as well, that, we kind of have a good group of guys, and we don't want to, change the way, the dynamic of the league. And I completely agree with that. So if I wanted to bring in the 2, 12-team AFC, NFC, and the 2 meet together in a Super Bowl, that was actually my idea. And I definitely, if we did that and everyone was interested, I know we have a line like out the door of people that want to play. We definitely would make it separate from our existing Tree50 league.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. Something maybe to vote on next year. Okay, for my first question, Kyle, can you please elaborate on your love for honey, and where did that love form?
Well, it all started actually one day I fell in a honey well, and the only way to get out was by drinking the honey. So there you go.
Unbelievable.
Chad, I think your quote from last week about Pooh and Christopher Robin would have been better placed this week.
I am not playing the Pooh as Christopher Robin.
Okay, Mr. BBC, what changes would you like to see happen with the league? Like, what do you want to see? Maybe what would you like to propose a vote for?
I like it the way it is. Everyone's kind of brought in their own, dynamic, and we voted on everything. So regardless of whatever anything may be, it would be up to the league. But honestly, the way it is it's the way I like it, But I welcome any changes. But again, I think it's perfect the way it is.
All right. Now this one's near and dear to my heart, but can we just have pizza and chips next year for the draft?
You guys, sure. If that's what you want, we could just, we do pizza every Sunday.
That's
and
a No.2.
And before you go on, I know I haven't been to many Sundays yet, just one actually. There's been a pretty busy winter for me, but when we have Sundays, we did pizza. So it's like you can get pizza anytime. You get pizza every Sunday. It's the easiest thing to do. I enjoy cooking, you guys know it. But you know what? If you guys just want to sit here and not eat at all, or have Conrad bring some chips and just show them off, and then come back and get them after he's done. We could do that route too. Whatever.
I'm gonna have to interject on this. We haven't done pizza every Sunday. There have been at least a few Sundays we have not this season. But like you said, you wouldn't know that. So
You're right. You're right.
turn it around for us, BBC.
Yeah, all right. Now on to more serious and pertinent questions, Mr. Stansberry. Why does it take you so long to put on deodorant? This is something I've wondered for a really long time.
I believe that was just an excuse for my lack of punctuality at times. Someone tried to be funny and said I was putting on deodorant for an hour.
Oh.
But there's always something that comes up last minute that I have to take care of or want to take care of, and that thus makes me late.
So Kyle doesn't wear deodorant. Okay, Dustin, your turn.
Under your reign of terror as the big bad commish, what is your biggest regret? And allowing me in the league cannot be that.
Probably keeping people in the league that really didn't want to be in the league as long as, i.e. Conrad. Conrad, he didn't want to hang out with us forever, and we kept him in the league for a long time, and we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have cut him, loose a long time ago. We've had a long line of people that wanted to play for a long time, and they could have taken that place. So that would be it. Probably keeping guys like Conrad in the league for a long time that really didn't even involve themselves in our group anymore.
When will we have a better league trophy or even a ring for our league winner? How come that hasn't been even, I don't know if it's been talked about, or how come it hasn't come to fruition outside of that $5 Walmart trophy?
It's funny. Chad and I were actually talking about this. I'm going to stop myself for a second here because, that trophy was hilarious the first time I saw it. And it was in pretty, yes, it was a $10 Walmart deal. It was so nice and pretty. And our very first winner that did receive it, put it up on his nightstand and let his cat knock it off and break it, on top. So this pretty little trophy then got destroyed. So now everyone just ready for a new one. Well, anyway, so I definitely have talked about, Chad and I actually talked about, we looked up some different things. He was looking up, not to change the subject from football, but Chad was even looking at trophies for his poker tournament, and we were kind of looking at some things together. I would like to do a more elaborate trophy, but it's going to take some time and money to do that. And if everybody wants to do it, I'd be up for it. And, it may take some money, so it might be something where everybody throws in a couple of extra dollars. Again, that would be something we vote on. I don't mind throwing the $10, $20 out for a trophy, but when they start getting more and more elaborate, I'm not going to, forfeit that cost myself. So.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'd totally be down for just something different. Not saying we can't keep passing around the Tree50 trophy, but something different as well. Okay, Kyle, big question for you. Why do you hate sleeves?
I think it's more of an allergic thing. The cotton, on my arms, they bother me. No, I don't know. There's really no reason.
Okay. All right, Mr. Strange.
Okay. We did have a change at the beginning of the season with the money allotment. How do you feel about that?
That's fine. Just people need to understand that it just waters down. I mean, it's the same. It really doesn't matter if you have $1,000 or if you have $10. You still the values just become more and more inflated. That's all. Now the only thing it really did affect was the extra $20 that the winner got every year. Obviously, that percentage it's less of an advantage than it was before. Some people like it, some people don't. But it is what it is.
Now, kind of let me have a follow up to this one, Kyle, if you don't care. Would you ever think about dropping? I know right now, as we did last year, we had to draft 2 kickers and 2 defenses. Would you ever think about dropping the extra kicker and extra defense and just having them draft 1 kicker, 1 defense?
No, we talked about that last year and going into this year, and I don't even remember if we voted on it or not. But yeah, I have no problem.
Okay.
With it. But my thing is, we're not just going to add. Well, it would be up to everybody, but my opinion is we wouldn't just take those 2 and make them 2 extra roster spots that people can just pick up anybody. I know once the draft is over, everyone drops them and picks up whoever they want, but it kind of gives it more of a fair edge. So my thing would be, we'd really have to hash out the rules on how we want to do that or not.
Okay. All right,
I
sorry,
thought
Derek.
the correct answer to this was nope too.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Who would you consider to be, using the air quotes for this word, face of the league?
Face of the league. I mean, you could take it a multitude of ways. The BBC is obviously, an option of being the face of the league. You could take the two-time champions, which would be Chris and Danny. Obviously, I wouldn't want to make Danny the face of the league because we'd never hear the end of it.
Oh, not that face. Please, not that face.
Um,
Face only radio listeners can love.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at the consistency of the teams over the years and do it that way. Honestly, I don't have an answer for that because I don't really have anybody in mind right now. But I mean, you could take it a different ways. You could look at who's had the most productive teams over the 7 year. I mean, this is our 7th year. You could look at who's had the most productive teams. I mean, arguably the two champions is one way, but if you look at people who've made playoffs and who hasn't versus wins and losses and go from there. But I really don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Now, I don't mean, Kyle, I know this is kind of a hard-hitting segment. I don't mean to air out your dirty laundry, but I'd have to ask this question, or I wouldn't be a journalist if I didn't. Is your addiction to Afrin real, and are you currently doing anything to address that?
Yes, it is real. Kids don't do Afrin. It's very addicting. Just stay in school and don't do Afrin.
Dustin?
Last question, Kyle, and this is the meat of it all. If a human encounters a bear in the woods, what is the best approach to dealing with said bear?
Hug him.
Okay.
So, you got to take the approach that I do. Since I love honey so much, I'm one with the bear. So, always keep a bottle of honey on you, and he'll be your best friend.
That's some lifelong good advice there. My last one for you is, how long do you see yourself as the commissioner of this league? I mean, because you got Adam Silver, who just came in for Stern, and then, of course, you got Bud Selig, who's going out for the new guy, and I can't remember his name. So how long do you see yourself hanging around?
I love us too much. I'd stick with it as long as you guys would have me.
Good answer. Fair answer, Commish. Last question of the day, and we'll let you out of here on this. Now, I know the answer to this because I lived with you, but I'm going to ask you so everybody else can know. Is it true that you can hiccup, burp, fart, sneeze, and sniff all at the same time? And if so, how in the hell did you acquire that ability?
That has literally never happened. But I do tend to burp when I hiccup sometimes.
That's interesting.
Maybe it just seems like something's coming out of every orifice of your body when that happens. I'm sorry.
Well, we appreciate you answering those questions.
Yes.
Hopefully it answered some of them for some people that listened to it here. But that's all we got as far as the seriousness goes. If you want to stick around, we're going to go through our power rankings here real quick. We'll quickly touch on the Week 9 matchup since we got another little segment to follow this at the very end. So if you want to go over the power rankings here real quick with us, Kyle, you're more than welcome to. If you want to put any insight in on it, Chad, I'll let you just do the 12 through 1 if you want to.
Sure. I'll go ahead and we'll go through this pretty quick. 12 is the same. Danny's still at 12. 11 is Sanjay. 10 is myself. We got Dustin Strange at 9. Number 8, as Sanjay would say, we've got Chevron. Number 7, we've got the Commish. Number 6 is Ryan. Number 5 is Amit, who jumped up quite a bit. Number 4 is Derek. Number 3 is Dustin Robinson, who jumped up. 2 is the same as Trevor. And number 1, again, a joke this week, Justin King, 7-1. He's absolutely destroying this season.
Yeah, there's some moves there. I'm not sure how I'm still number 4. I think in my own personal one, I think I moved myself down to like 10.
Yeah, you're stupid.
I'm not. You're just. I mean, granted, my record's 5-3, but that's the worst back-to-back weeks probably league history.
Now, can I jump in?
Sure.
So, can you explain to our audience and to myself, because honestly I don't know either, how do you come up with your power rankings? Do you have an algorithm? Do you have a set of different things that you add up that tell you the power ranking? Is it purely opinion or what?
The first week that Derek and I got together and said, let's do a power ranking, we sat down, we were like, we think this guy's this guy's this. It's purely opinion based. and we caught so much hail it wasn't even funny. It was coming from everywhere. So me and Derek
I
sit
think it was
down and
mostly
said,
from Justin, wasn't it?
"What's that?"
Wasn't it mostly from Justin? He's so butthurt and sensitive.
A lot of it was from Justin, yes. And it made Derek and I sit down and try to come up with a strategy, like a points-based system. And that was immediately flawed. Derek's like, we can't do that. So we had to throw that out. So we went with a different system where it's almost like a coach's poll. Derek ranks, I rank, and Trevor ranks, and we compile those rankings to a consensus ranking.
What happened to your numbers? Why didn't the number associated thing?
Because I think Amit was like 1 and 4, and according to our numbers, he was ranked second. Nope, that's not gonna work.
You're not putting in enough data. That's good for you.
It was taking away from personal time, and I just wasn't willing to put another second into it. I was tired of it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So it's the coaches poll power rankings then. Huh?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part, but yeah, that's our 12 through 1. There was a little bit of shake up there. As I say, they don't change too much. They're all interchangeable for the most part, probably besides the top 2 and the bottom 2. So we'll see how the rest of the weeks play out here on it, and we're actually going to take a small break here. Kyle, please hang around here with us. We're going to take a small break, and we'll be right back. And this segment coming up next is brought to you by Maker's Mark. It's a great way to make your mark on the day by drinking a nice pint full of Maker's Mark. Whenever your football team decides to suck it up and you're just the butt of every effing joke and everything comes true for everybody says for your fantasy football, you just keep drinking more Maker's Mark. It makes it better.
Why do I feel like this is in reference to your team?
It's not. It's just completely what the sponsor wanted me to say.
Now, what are you going to do next week when I'm doing this podcast with your brother and the entire podcast we're making fun of you?
I won't know. I'm not listening to it. I'm not doing it. I refuse to.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
Derek's going to have to fill in for his brother next week at the airport.
That's a good point. We have to make sure your brother's not doing any kind of deals or anything like that while we're on the air.
Well, whatever, okay, because I think I'm not going to say I am, but I think my team's going to turn around. Lou Holtz was here, okay? He came here, gave an amazing speech, so they're going to play well, okay? I'm just saying. I think we're going to play well. We're going to turn it around.
I hope so, Derek. I'd like to say I was rooting for you, but then I'd be lying.
Hey, I think that Dustin should actually, if he does come on the show next week, actually should go to the airport and see how much of a difference between the airport and his house that was supposedly not the airport.
Yeah, if he does it at the airport, it actually might not sound that bad.
Yeah, it'd probably be more quiet.
Right, exactly. Are you next to an air vent or a 747, Derek?
I'm next to an air vent. He was next to a fucking 747 taking off.
Oh, shoot.
Anyways, well, let's go over these week 9 matchups. Like I said, we won't harp on these. We'll just kind of say who we think wins, and maybe some of the key players or something. But Kyle, you can put your 2 cents into this. We'll go ahead and we'll start off on mine. I honestly, I think my team's going to play better. I think I do win. I don't know by how much, but I think I do win. I need Julio. I need that bad man Julio to play well.
Julio hasn't played well here recently, and I honestly don't know what's going on with him. On the same token, I mean, it's Danny's team, so who knows what Danny's team's going to do. Des Bryant didn't do much for him. LeSean McCoy sucked all season. You're in a funk right now, and I see you getting out of this funk this week. See you doing that Lou Holtz comeback win speech, and you take the victory this week. So I'm picking you to win this game.
Let me time out real quick. All right, Julio's not even played this week. That's how far off and gone I am right now on my damn team.
Oh, you're right. Julio is on bye. That's not good for you.
He's on bye. Let me rephrase that. I need Travis Kelce to destroy for me this week. Okay, Kyle, go ahead.
This is going to be a tough one, too. I think you do edge him. However, Tom Brady's kind of taken off a little bit. Vereen's the number 1 back. LeSean McCoy's still been sucking most of the year, but I think you do edge him. Keenan Allen's starting to come alive a little bit. Eddie Boyle's been kind of, he's been up and then down. This past week he was down a little bit. But Drew, the Charger quarterback is definitely playing well, and Jerk McKinnon as well. So I think you edge him.
I thought the same thing until I seen that Julio wasn't playing. So I'm sorry, Derek. You lose this week, and I will miss you next week.
You know what? You can just shut your filthy mouth.
Okay, I will do that.
Good. Well, let's go to Kyle's and Sanjay's here. Kyle, I think you win. It's going to be tough, man. I mean, Sanjay's been putting up some points, but I do think you win. I think you're going to win 140 to 135.
Kyle, you don't win, and here's the reason why. Bishop Sankey, by Randall Cobb, by Brendan Marshall, by Sammy Watkins, in their place, you've got Jordan Matthews and Niall Davis and Frank Gore. I'm sorry. Sanjay edges you this week, brother. You're going to lose by about 20 plus.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it's not going to be good for me with these bye weeks. Definitely are going to kill me. He's projected to beat me pretty good, but you never know. Who would have thought?
Go by those projections. They didn't project me to win by or have 77 points or 70 points last week, so you can't go by those.
No, I never do. However, I am a realist and realize that my 4 breadwinners are on bye week this week, so
yeah,
it's going to be a little difficult.
In all honesty, Kyle, as well, Tony Romo was hurt last week. He didn't play the same after he came back in the game. And then Mark Ingram, as you've seen last week for Sanjay, absolutely destroyed it. So he's tearing the club up every game he's played so far this season. So I expect the same out of him. All right, where do you want to go to next, Derek?
Well, let's go to the Dustin and Dustin show here. And I'll tell you right now, it's going to be pretty close, but I think my brother does win.
Yeah, I actually think Dustin wins this. Which Dustin? That's a tough choice. I'm going to be cheering for Dustin Strange. Now, does he win? It's going to be tough because Gronk has been getting, it seems like, every single pass from your boy Tom Brady. But I'm going to say that Mr. Dustin wins by a very, very narrow margin. It's going to be a 5-point game or closer.
Well, yeah, it's going to be close. I will say this. I do think Dustin will win.
Good guess. Kyle, do you have any insight on this one?
I'm sorry, which matchup is this again?
We've got Dustin versus Dustin. Dinner Date Dustin and no dinner for Dinner Date Dustin.
Again, I think this is going to be another tough one. However, there's a lot of questionables on Dinner Date Dustin's side.
Are you pooping?
No, I'm not. I just had to let I had to let the dog out. Yeah,
you let the dogs out?
The dog's pooping.
I'm Yes, she was. Obviously, I want Dustin Strange to lose this because we're both in the same division. However, I think he's going to edge Dustin Robinson on this one.
I hope you're right.
It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. I think it's probably going to be one of the closer ones of the week. But we'll move on to Trevor and Crevens. This won't be close. Trevor wins probably by the same margin that he beat me by this past week. So that's all I got to say about that one.
I don't know. Trevor has Eddie Lacy and Detroit's defense on bye. It's going to be really close. Trevor may only win by 75. What do you think, Cal? How close is this not going to be?
No, I don't think so. I think Chevron Emmott is not quite playing, to boot, to par. Trevor, he was, first in power rankings. Well, until he met me, of course. But I think he edges him on this one.
Well, we'll move on to the next one here, and it'll be Amit versus Justin. And this it could possibly be one of the higher scoring games of the year combined. I think Justin's due for one, so I'm going to choose Amit on this one.
Yeah, if you give me both your lineups right now at full roster, I'm going to pick Amit unwillingly because I don't want Amit to win because he's in my division. But because Amit has Matt Forte and Golden Tate, who have both been scoring in the 30s for a meet, and that's consistently in the 30s. That's 60 points he's going to have on his bench because of the bye weeks. Now, he's got some decent fill-ins. He's got Eric Decker, and he's got Anquan Bolden. I mean, they're okay. They're not going to get you 30 fantasy points. And he's got Torrey Smith still in there, who got him a big goose egg. I'm going to pick Justin to win. Justin's going to start 8-1 this season. What's he going to do in the playoffs? Yet to be seen. What do you think here, Mr. Stansberry?
You know what? I'm going to pick the upset, and I'm going to take a meet. Strictly on the fact that Justin is playing Eli Manning, who might be the worst fantasy quarterback in history. Projected to get 19, but he sucks. Terrible. But he's got some players that kind of playing at their butt right now. Arian Foster's kind of looking like the Arian of old. Antonio Gates is fucking old. But he's been playing pretty good as well. Brandon LaFell is playing out his butt. But I just have this feeling that a meet is going to take it down. Shit talking wins. Humble loses.
Now, let me just point something out. This is a reason why you can't ever look at projections. Jonas Gray, who is a lead back right now in New England, is projected for 3 points. Whoever does these projections needs to go and shoot themselves in the fucking face, because that's ridiculous.
That's a bit extreme. So we'll go ahead and let you calm down. We'll go ahead and move to your game here, and I'm going to say Ryan beat you.
Oh, thanks. I don't ever listen to you, so.
You couldn't.
I'm just kidding. It's going to be, and I'll talk to Ryan today, it's going to be a really, really, really close game with A.J. Green being back. Julian Edelman for Ryan hasn't been doing much of anything since he had a case of dropsies, but he's got Kelvin Benjamin, Allen Robinson, Andre Ellington, so he's got a pretty stacked squad, and my team's actually playing pretty good. We're consistently putting up 130 to 150, right around that range. And it's going to be a really good game. I think I win by maybe 10-ish, right around there, but I wouldn't be surprised if I lose.
I'm going to say that, Chad, you win based solely on your quarterback. Peyton Manning has been co-rushing it.
Yes.
I definitely think him alone is going to get you your victory.
Yeah, he's been consistently getting me right around 30 points. And Palmer had a big week last week, but that, to me, that's just fluky.
Well, I think it's going to be a blessing for Ryan in disguise with Matt Ryan on a bye. He can finally put in the better quarterback, even though Matt Ryan has better big point potential. They've just been inconsistent.
Yeah, could be.
So, all right. Well, that was our Week 9 matchup overview. We're going to take another short break here. We'll come back with our bold start dumb bench predictions, or not predictions, but our opinions on that right after this short break. Kyle, please stick around. And this segment is brought to you by Maker's Mark. You drink it, and it tastes so good in your belly, and it warms you up when you're feeling down about your fantasy football team when they only put up 70 and 77 points, and they don't even beat half the teams the week before if you combine both. So more Maker's Mark, more better. Maker's Mark on your mark.
Derek, why do I feel like you're doing this podcast drunk?
Yes.
There's a hotline you need to call.
What is it?
Some kind of step program or something. I don't know.
I should be in step? I thought I should be in high school one time and be on the step. I'd be like the only white guy out there.
Listen, if I was ever going to call a hotline, it was going to be after that game was Strange. I would have called a hotline or been arrested or something after that, but I was okay. So you can get through this.
Well, hopefully I do with the win. But let's go over our bold start.
Dumb bench.
And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start it off here. My bold start was Russell Wilson over Phillip Rivers. Actually, you know what? Here's my bold start for this. It was, give me just a second here because I had it pulled up. It was Russell Wilson and Jerick McKinnon and Louis Murphy and Eddie Royal and Julio Jones and Seahawks defense and Robbie Gould and all of them. They're all bold starts for me because they didn't do nothing for me the week before.
It's a very bold start to start your entire team. I agree, especially as terrible as they've been playing. Now, let me be serious for a second. My bold start comes from Ryan's team. He actually started this past week Carson Palmer over Matt Ryan. I don't know what gave him an inkling to do that, but it was the right decision because Carson Palmer threw for 329 yards, 2 touchdowns, had 33 fantasy points, twice as much as what Matt Ryan put out.
That's impressive. It is a bold start. So that's good for him. Like I said, he's probably the better quarterback at this point in time to start anyways. My dumb bench was me once again with Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen on the bench with 23 and 22 after I've pretty much gave them all BJs all year. I put them on my bench for some reason. And
I didn't want to put the dumb bench on your team because I knew you were going to go there, so I didn't want to add any salt to your wound, so to speak. And mine actually this week, I don't have a dumb bench, but I do have a dumb drop. Danny, and now I know he's out of this, and that'll be his excuse. I just don't care. Drop Justin Forsett for Charles Sims. And let me just explain who's on his roster. He kept Chris Polk. Chris Polk is LaShawn McCoy's backup, okay? He kept him and dropped Justin Forsett. And his excuse to me was people would think I was dumb if I dropped Chris Polk. Really, Danny? That's why they're going to think that you're dumb? Exactly. Thank you. So, okay, here. Vereen, who he also has on his roster this year, has averaged 11.1 points. LaShawn McCoy, has averaged 11.3. What's Forsett average? 14.3, and he fucking dropped him. Thank you, Danny. I'm number 1 on the waiver wire. Thank you for your stupidity. That's a dumb drop.
Well, I like it. Dumb drop. We should probably add that on there. I would have done it, except I had like 2 for myself and bold start was my whole team. They decided to suck and only put up 77 and 70 points. I don't know if I said that yet.
Yes, you elaborated.
Well, let's move on to our next one here because we're coming towards the end, and this has been a pretty darn good podcast. I've enjoyed it. But let's have one more enjoyable segment. We got a few more guests that's actually coming on the show. Okay. Trevor's going to ask these guests some questions. Me and Chad and Kyle are actually going to step back here for a moment and let these guests on. And Dustin, if you want to introduce our guest here that we're going to have on and ask them the questions that we have laid out for them as well.
All right. Thank you, Derek. With us tonight, we have Morgan Freeman.
Hello, Dustin.
Hello, Morgan. Former President Bill Clinton.
Hey, Dustin. Very happy to be here.
We're glad to have you, Bill. And former Cowboys coach Wade Phillips.
How you doing, Dustin?
We do need to get Wade a tissue.
I don't understand. I'm emotional. My Cowboys lost, and Houston ain't playing too well.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with these questions. Wade, we're going to start with you on this.
Really?
Yes,
my assistant coaches, I don't think I'll fucking do this.
You can do it, Wade. I got faith in you.
Thanks.
Okay, Wade, how would you handle cutting Michael Sam from your team?
Oh, my God. Well, it's really hard for coaches when they have to cut people, and no one knows what to do. It's a difficult thing. It's a difficult time. See, I'm getting emotional now. This is just, okay, get it together. You just kind of bring them in, and it becomes difficult, especially someone like Michael Sam. He's been in the news. Oh, God, this is very difficult. I'm sorry. Just go someone else. I don't know if I can finish.
Okay, thank you for your input on that, Wade. Bill, can you chime in on that for us?
Yeah, I'd like to say that me being a Democrat, that I would make sure to make room for Michael on my team. Now, it doesn't really matter to me if you're gay or you're straight or if you're a white or you're a spade. Bill Clinton loves everyone. And I wanted to point out that if Michael Sam wanted to marry Tony Romo, I'd be completely okay with that too.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Clinton. And Morgan Freeman, your thoughts?
Yes, I do have some thoughts. Michael Sam was a fine young man. He played for St. Louis, and then he went on to Dallas. And I would have a hard time cutting him, but I would bring him in like one of my own sons. I remember when I was a little boy in Cleveland, Ohio. I was cut from a football team at one point in time. And I would bring him in and just let him know that he did his best, but we'd no longer have a place for him on our team. But he is due for greatness, and he has made big leaps and bounds in the world of the NFL football. So he's a great man, and I would just tell him that and send him on his way.
Thank you for that insight, Morgan. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, and this is for Mr. President, but you both, Wade and Morgan, can feel free to chime in as you need to on this.
All right.
Bill, when facing impeachment implications, how would you try to prove your innocence, and what would you say?
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd make you define simplistic words like the word and or the word the, or I'd ask you what the meaning of the word is. After that, I would ask you to describe that word in a sentence, kind of like they do on the ESPN when they're asking for those little kids and spelling the words. Excuse me. I would mention to you that I have a restaurant now open in Little Rock. It's called Bill's Barbecue on Blue Dresses. And once I deflect to talk about the food, then they're going to get hungry and completely forget about the allegations at hand.
Well, if it was me, and if I was a president, which I am not, I may play one in future. Maybe Barack Obama. I don't know. But if I had to prove my innocence, I would just simply say, I was a little boy once in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was innocent from day one all the way up until now. Just talking about it should make you know that I'm innocent. And that's all I would really have to say, because I'm Morgan Freeman.
I would have to ask Bill to help me because I can't ever keep my composure even when I'm a coach. And maybe Bill, can I borrow you, like hire you or something? This is
I would absolutely love to help you, Wade. You just give me a call, 1-800-BILLS-BEST.
Thanks, Bill. You're a good guy.
Bill, you're a stupendous guy, Bill.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you all, and I appreciate you all supporting Wade. I know he appreciates the support you all are giving as well. Moving on next, we're going to start with Mr. Freeman on this one. If you could narrate any one person's life, whose would you narrate?
I think I would narrate my own. Hearing myself talk about me is probably one of the best things on God's green earth. Just the way I talk, the way I lay out things, the way I make you understand and how the way I make you feel. Makes you feel like you were me. Makes you feel like you would want to be me. But you're not, because I'm me. So I would narrate myself.
All these talks of feelings are making me upset. Way to go, Morgan.
Now, I want to tell you, every time I hear your voice, Morgan, I am completely just enthralled. And it's like I'm off looking at the stars, and I'm just completely tuned in to everything you have to say. Now, with that said, if I had to narrate somebody's life, it would probably be my wife's, Hillary, because of the personal input that I would have. Now, I would make her out to be the piece of work that she really is, and everyone would then know why I stuck my penis in that plumpy, pasty-faced Monica.
Okay, thank you for that insight into your life, Bill, and thank you, other gentlemen, for your responses on that. Moving on.
Not a problem, Dustin.
Coach Phillips, what is your best memory of Tony Romo?
Well, he's a good guy, and he's a bit emotional, just like me, and we're just gonna Texas, and we just don't know what to. I don't even know what to say. I'm emotional because I'm not his coach anymore, and we were such good friends, and now we don't even see each other. We're in the same state. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I love him.
Thank you for that, Wade.
No problem.
Mr. President, what is your greatest guilty pleasure?
Well, before I answer this, I think somebody needs to go check on Wade to make sure he's okay. He doesn't sound okay to me. But answering the question, my biggest guilty pleasure is probably having sexual relations in random places. Some people, normal people, do it in the movie theater, or the car, or in the butt. But how many people can say that they've done it in the Oval Office? I win.
Indeed you do, sir. Indeed you do. Mr. Freeman, when did you start narrating events in people's lives, and where did you start?
Well, I actually started when I was in my mama's belly. I started narrating it then, just all the little events that I would do and the little things that I would hear. But once I was born, I started doing it then as well, out into the real world. First time I see my daddy, I didn't know who he was, but that's okay. Then I grew up as a little boy in Cleveland, Ohio. And then I would just keep going, and I would narrate people, and I would narrate events. And before you knew it, I was narrating plays, narrating proms, weddings, movies, songs. And then before I knew it, I was on commercials and night shows. And then now I'm on this podcast. So everything has come to fruition. And I really, 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 really appreciate that.
I appreciate you letting us have that insight into your life and all the experiences up to this point on the podcast.
You're welcome.
Coach Phillips, do you cry every time you cut a player, or is it just certain players?
No, it's when you're a coach, you have these special bonds with your players, and regardless if I'm with them for a week or years, it gets harder and harder every time. It never gets easier. It's just one of those things that I'm just do. I try to make the consistent coaches do it, but they just make me, and I don't know what else to do. It never gets hard, never gets easy. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Okay, we appreciate how much you're saying to us, though. We know what you're saying.
Stay strong, Wade. Stay strong.
Thanks, guys. You guys are nice.
President Clinton, do you even sleep in the same bed as your wife?
Now, before I address your question, Mr. Dustin, I want to tell you a story. While rash that was around my penis, and I was very worried, so I didn't want Hillary to see it, so I had to call the doctor, and I scheduled an appointment, and the doctor looked at it, and he didn't really know what it was, so he gave me a couple pills and said, if it doesn't go away in a week, you can come back. So obviously it didn't go away in a week, and I had to go back, so he gave me another set of pills to take, and another week goes by, and that red ring is still there, and he finally gives me a little tube of some ointment, and he says, now rub this on there, and it should go away. So I was like, okay, doc. And sure enough, I rubbed that ointment around my penis, and the rash went away. And I called the doctor the next day, and I'm like, doc, what happened? Like, what was that ointment? Because I can use it in the future. This happens very often. He says, Bill, he's like, that was lipstick remover. So from that point on, I've had a can of that ointment by the bed every night. Now, to address your question, Mr. Dustin, the politically correct answer is yes. Now, we both own a Tempur-Pedic mattress that we sleep in, so we sleep in the same type of bed. But a better question would have been, do I sleep in the bed with my wife in the same room? But obviously, you're too stupid to ask that.
Thank you for that insult, Mr. President.
Anytime.
We're going to take our last question with Morgan Freeman.
All right.
What was it like in prison with Andy Dufresne?
I remember Andy. He was a smart man. Of course, he came in there pretty naive, thinking he was just going to do his time. Time would pass. He wouldn't have to pay his dues. But he soon wisened up, got in good with the warden, got in good with a few other people there as well. He became pretty streetwise, as well as bookwise. Luckily, I made friends with him, and we had a good time. Now, if you think this is really true in real life, then you are stupid, because this is obviously a movie that I am talking about. It's one of the greatest movies ever, simply because I am in it. It's a Shawshank Redemption. Andy was a good, kind-hearted soul. Came home to his wife, who was cheating on him. Now he's living the life on a boat in Mexico, and I'm there with him. That's Andy Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan Freeman. All right, I want to thank all three of our special guests for the night. President Clinton.
Yes, you're welcome. And don't forget there, Kentuckians, go vote for Allison Lundgren Grimes because she, like me, is a Democrat.
Wade Phillips.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And Morgan Freeman.
Thank you all. You all have a very, very good night.
We'll go ahead and turn this back over to Derek and Chad.
Alrighty, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks for our
thanks,
special
brother.
guest.
Yeah, thanks for our guest. That was good. It's very insightful, very entertaining. This is our last but not least thing of the show, and that's bringing Dustin back in here for any errors or stat corrections. I don't know if there was a lot, but I guess you'll let us know.
Yeah, we've got a little cleanup to do here. Derek, I believe the comment you were looking for was actually win one for the Gipper. I feel like our special guest earlier, Lou Holt, should have been able to help you out with that since the Gipper actually played halfback at Notre Dame. Chad, your kids are 100% correct about your vocal abilities, and your new song is not kid appropriate.
No, it's not. They will not be listening to that.
The successor we're looking for Bud Selig is Rob Manfred.
There you go.
Dumbface is averaging 18.7 points per game this season in fantasy.
Oh, wow.
We have a logjam there in the middle with people vying for playoff spots. We have 4 teams at 4-4 and 2 teams at 3-5. Morgan Freeman, I think our special guest was a little out of sorts. He's getting kind of old because he wasn't actually born or raised in Cleveland. He was born in Memphis and grew up in Mississippi, Indiana, and Chicago.
Uh,
But, when you're 77 years old, your mind starts to slip, so that's okay.
yes, it does.
And then a little update for the Cincinnati fans. It looks like Gio and AJ are both questionable for Sunday versus the Jags. Bernard has a hip pointer and clavicle issue, and Green still has issues with his toe. Other than that, you guys are good.
Gotcha. Now, who did you say that one guy's name was? Rob Manfred?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like Man Bear Pig. It's a weird last name. You get that reference now. Thank you.
Well, this is going to end our show here. Before we cast off, Kyle, you want to say anything, brother? We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
thanks for having me. This has been a ball. Been a ball. You have to have me back again one day.
Oh, well, we will. Maybe we'll have a little special presentation the next time we do have you back. Chadwick, any last words?
yeah, I want to absolutely thank all of our special guests, especially Kyle, for coming on. Listen to the podcast. Really enjoyed you as a guest. So thank you, brother.
Thank you. Had a good time.
All right, and on that note, we'll go ahead and cast off here. We will be back next week to talk about our usual stuff. Maybe we'll have some more special guests. Maybe we won't. Maybe I won't be here next week. Who knows? What's left to be seen. So with that, we are out, and we will see you on the flip side.